Bora, doideiras, fazer uma reação do novo LoL. O novo LoL, novo LoL. Tem várias mudanças para 2022.
Overall, we're pretty happy with the state of League this season. But before we get into the details, let's dive into a topic that's been pretty popular lately, which is new champion balance.
Finalmente.
When we look at the data, we actually see that new champions have been pretty balanced on release this year, with the exception of Dr. Mundo. That said, there's more to healthy gameplay than just win rates, and we're still hearing that new champions feel unfair to play against, particularly when it comes to complex abilities or overloaded kits. If we're being completely honest, we don't think our champions have overloaded kits overall. But that being said, there have been times when we've given our champions too many tools and had to pull back later to give them more clear weaknesses. For example, Samira's ability to dash
mano. Para, caralho.
because it provided too much safety.
Deixa eu focar aqui.
Combined with her missile blocker, it made seeing her too difficult, especially since that's one of her main forms of counterplay. Another thing we consider when we hear a champion feels bad to play against is their intended complexity. We try to make a healthy mix of high, medium, and low complexity champions. In this way, whether you like mechanical skill expression, point and click simplicity, or something in between, there's a new champion that interests you. For example, with Vex, we wanted to create a champion that was fairly easy to pick up, and we're happy to see she's hitting that mark. But beyond just how complex a champion
Não, realmente, não, sem maldade, essa parte que nem tinha prestado atenção. Mas a Vex realmente não é um boneco tão difícil de jogar não, velho. Eu acho que, mano, a mecânica dela não é tão complicada assim como se fosse... Vamos ver, que boneco aí que lançou aí, que é difícil. Sei lá, que boneco lançou aí, aquele lá que fica invisível lá. Não, que Garen, pô. O Akshan. O Akshan já é meio difícil, mano. O Akshan é meio difícil, velho. Sim, é difícil ele. Perto da Vex. Realmente eles acertaram nisso, só que ela é roubada.
But you shouldn't need a wiki to know how to play with or against them. Learning counterplay is a skill test we do think is important, but knowing what a champ can or can't do shouldn't be a part of it. This clarity is something we haven't always hit the mark on, especially with champions like Aphelios.
Nossa, o Aphelios não dá.
But was also lacking UI clarity when he was.
A Aphelios até hoje eu não consigo jogar.
New champions is a constant balance between making something that's exciting, has clear counterplay, and isn't confusing. We're still trying to find that line, but we want to get to a spot where new champions aren't just...
E o pior com o Aphelios é difícil de jogar, só que ele é muito roubado, velho. Então mérito pra quem joga bem com ele, né?
Beyond new champion releases, this season we've seen a wide variety of picks in every role. We've also seen a healthy improvement in diversity of playstyles across roles, especially in jungle and top lane. Some of this is due to direct champion changes, such as the kit adjustments that enable picks like Jungle Darius, Brand, and Morgana.
O meu Brand.
Change and Hullbreaker have also had a positive impact, especially in top lane where we're seeing a ton of champion diversity. And finally, we know that some champion classes...
Aqueles itens lá que eles colocaram lá, principalmente a Anatema, velho, pra esses bonecos que ficam splitando, velho. Absurdo, mano, foi muito bom. Realmente tem que concordar com isso, que isso aí foi bom. Porque esses bonecos tá muito roubado, velho. Esses bonecos de split.
Have been struggling after the item system update, and we've been working on some solutions to help them out. And this brings us to our plans for preseason. With that, I'm going to hand things off to Brightmoon, who will go more in depth on the upcoming changes.
Pré-temporada de 2022. Vou voltar aqui, porque eu não mostrei 2022. 2022.
Hey everyone, I'm Brightman, the lead producer of gameplay on League of Legends. League is like a house.
É uma casa. É uma casa, um hospício isso aqui, velho. É isso que nós temos que saber, velho.
Big renovation to keep it working well, like when we overhauled the items.
Ô, que é isso aí?
System.
Vai dar play.
Sometimes we just need to add some new furniture. For this year's preseason, we're sprucing things up with improvements to our existing systems, like items, runes, and the elemental rift. Let's start with our plans for items.
Vamos começar pelos itens.
Have lots of build options. We've still got others that don't feel like they've got a mythic or legendary that really speaks to them. So we're going to be adding some new items and tweaking some others. This will include 2 new mythic items. The first one is a support tank item, perfect for champions
that vai ser roubado.
Aggressive and charge into the middle of a fight.
Mano, esse item aí, mano, Se pá, ele vai, tipo, que nem essa Joana é um boneco que não é tão picado, mas o Maokai também. Vamos ver, bonecos aí de hard CC, velho. Até o Malfitão acho que pode voltar mais hardcore. Porque quando você imobilizar o bagulho, o resto do time vai dar dano extra, né?
All nearby enemies will take increased damage from your team for a short period of time.
Vai ser bom, velho. Mano, esse item aí vai ser o mais sensacional de todos, mano. Nossa, eu quero muito esse item, velho. Meu Deus, eu só jogo com esses bonecos merda, velho. Maguinho, lixeira. Mano, é sério, mano. Esse item aqui, mano. Parece que é a ult daquele, mano. Eles colocaram uma ult daquele num item, velho. Não pode ser verdade também, né? Aí, NA.
Few seconds after you get hit. And while the protection holds, you'll also get ability haste. We think it'll be particularly good for longer range mages who need a mythic that helps them survive a dive.
Nossa, velho. Nossa.
When we updated League's item system, we wanted to give every champion strategic choices in every game. We still think that's the right goal for mythics, but our thinking has changed when it comes to legendary items. We think it's okay if some champions build the same legendary in most games if it's a perfect fit. But we also want you to have plenty of options, which is why we're improving legendaries for mages, assassins, and tanks. Wow. For example, assassins can look forward to a new legendary item that gives ability haste, and also refunds a portion of their ultimate's cooldown with enemy takedowns.
Ah, mano, não tô nem aí, velho. Ninguém vai matar mais com aquele item lá.
A new legendary item that grants bonus health based on total mana, and also burn some of it to create a shield whenever they immobilize an enemy. Finally, mages who are tired of being denied their hard-earned kills can rejoice. They'll be receiving a new legendary that grants magic pen against recently shielded enemies.
Aí, ó. Famoso quebra-shield do AP. Graças a Deus, velho. Pensaram nos APzinho. Só a D tinha quebra-shield. Não é um quebra-shield total, mas vai ter penetração. Em shield. Eu acho.
For example, we're reworking Glacial Augment to double down on its fantasy of slowing down enemies. We are also making some modifications to lethal...
Ô, na moral, mano, sem maldade, até agora eu não entendi isso aqui, velho. Será que vai fazer em X mesmo, velho? Isso aqui, mano. A runinha lá, só por causa do CC, não é por causa de item não, velho?
Working Glacial Augment to double down on its fantasy of...
Para dobrar a habilidade de causar lentidão nos inimigos. Eu acho que vai fazer o dobrar seria esse X mesmo, velho. Vai lançar rastro pros dois lados, mano. Só que, mano, será que não tem item nisso aqui? Ou é só lançar um CC, velho? Porque se for só lançar um CC com essa runa... Jesus, velho. O bagulho vai ser hardcore demais, mano.
Slowing down enemies. We are also making some modifications to lethal tempo to
lean into
its
sai.
attack speed fantasy and give it a more distinct use case in the precision tree. Up next are bounties. Champion bounties give teams who are behind a way to get back into the game without being a straight shot to victory. And this year, we're adding a second way for teams to try and make a comeback.
Adicionaremos outro jeito das equipes voltarem pro jogo.
Bounties will work like champion bounties, except you cash them in by taking map objectives, like towers or Baron. They ramp up slowly when the enemy team lead grows, and the bounty is shared with your whole team, regardless of who claimed it. Taking objectives really is the best way to come back when you're behind, so we want to help make that a clearer and more rewarding strategy. That said, if a team is really far ahead, objective bounties won't change that. Being the better team should always get you a win, so we'll be watching the new bounty system closely to keep things in check. Finally, let's talk about our biggest addition this preseason, dragons. We really like how each dragon creates unique terrain.
Agora vem a melhor parte.
And adds more strategy to the mid and late game. So this preseason, we're adding 2 more. Up first is the Hextech Dragon. When your team defeats it, you'll all gain additional ability haste and attack speed.
Ganhará aceleração.
When your team defeats it,
ao derrotá-lo, a equipe toda ganhará aceleração de habilidade adicional. Cara, ele vai ter um... Aqui é o do vento, ele dá só na ultimate, né?
you'll all gain additional ability haste and attack speed.
Caralho, mano. Ô, louco. Ô, isso aqui é hardcore também, esse dragão. Só naquele efeitinho ali dele, né, velho?
Claim the soul, you'll receive a chain slow that works kind of like Static Shiv's passive.
Ainda... Olha esse aqui, peraí. O efeito da static, mano. Agora fica a dúvida. Será que vai dar aquelas linhas lá da static que vai dar slow em todo mundo? Ó, que funciona como uma passiva da faca da static, mano. Se tiver mais player junto, será que vai grudar, tipo, meio que grudar, passar a linha da static? Ah, só na hora mesmo, viu? Porque tem várias coisas que eles não explicam tão bem assim, se pá. Ou eu sou burro mesmo.
Static Shiv's passive. When this dragon
Eu
takes
fico com a
over
segunda
Rift,
opção.
it creates Hextech gates that can transport you to set locations across the
Nossa. Esse vai ser roubado, velho. A gente vai ter, mano, a gente vai ter portal do bardo em todas as partes, mano, praticamente. Com o ult da Rek'Sai, a gente vai ficar teleportando com um dragão.
Joining the party is Hextech's darker sibling, the Hextech Dragon. When you slay it, your team will deal increased damage when your HP is low, letting you turn around those close team fights.
Esse aqui é o dragão pra vocês nunca desistir das batalhas, velho. Esse aqui, mano. Tá louco? Bate mais, velho. Que você vai dar mais dano, mano. Esse aqui vai ser bom pra bronze, velho. Não vai só correr, velho. Vai ter que bater, velho, quando tiver esse dragão aqui. Mas de qualquer jeito é melhor você só bater antes de morrer, velho.
This Dragon Soul provides a second chance at life. Well, sort of. When you die, you'll enter a zombie state.
Nossa, ao morrer você entrará no estado zumbi e poderá conjurar.
Cast abilities and continue fighting when you'd normally.
Caraca, ainda tem essa ainda, velho. Ah. Aí é foda, né?
And when the Hextech Dragon.
É aquele dragão lá daquele modo que eles botaram, velho. Aquele ancião lá, mano. Os caras meteu a passivinha aqui no meu amigo, velho. Ai, 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 viu? E olha lá. Mano, se você passar aqui ainda, você vai ficar camuflado, mano. Sensacional, velho. Vai ser muito complicado isso aqui, velho. Sério. Vai ser muito complicado, mano, esses mapas, velho. Eu não sei se eu vou gostar ou se eu vou odiar esse mapa, mano.
Our goal is to add more unique encounters and meaningful strategy to the mid and late game. That said, these are some pretty big changes, and we're ready to adjust if they're making too much, too little of an impact. You can expect to see all of these changes on PBE in a couple of weeks, and we'll be looking for your feedback in the months ahead.
E pode ficar de olho na minha opinião, mano. Que eu sei que eu tô falando.
Outside of preseason, something we've heard from all of you is that you'd like more ways to express yourself and your achievements in League. For some of you, ranked is how you define your progress.
Essa aqui só é a gracinha do LoL, mano, a palhaçadinha.
For those of you who aren't focused on the rate climb, there aren't great ways to express your own progress. Champion Mastery and Eternals help you show off your skills on a particular champ. But they don't tell the story of your broader.
Mano, eu mostro meu progresso na gameplay, amigão.
Challenges system should achieve just that.
Preciso de palhaçadinha, não.
Challenges rank up over time, showcasing your increasing mastery and legacy across a bunch of different systems, modes, and gameplay, making it a little different than just a standard achievement. We want to highlight not just your rank and champion mastery.
Isso aqui vai ser bom, mano, pra galera ficar postando foto no Facebook falando: eu curo demais, eu mato demais. Isso aqui só vai subir o ego dos outros.
Or how great you are at killing minions in SR in the first 10 minutes. Maybe you've collected over 100 champions or love participating in events. All of this is now possible to track and display your progress with challenges. You'll get the first glimpse of challenges when they hit PBE next month, and the full system will launch early next year. That's all I have to share with you today. Thanks so much for watching. And here's SafeLocked again to talk about game modes.
Mano, nesse bagulho aí vai ter o rei do shield, o rei da cura. Esse aí vai ser disputado, hein, mano.
You'd like more variety in the modes we bring back alongside events. So, let's talk about it. To start, we actually agree that the existing rotation of game modes can make some of the most popular modes like Earth and One for All feel a bit stale. Some of you have asked why we don't bring back some of our other older game modes like Star Guardian Invasion or Ascension to mix things up. And the answer is that bringing back old modes isn't as easy as flipping a switch. League is constantly changing, which means all of our existing modes require a constant upkeep. For example, when we released Yuumi, we had to figure out
que não me interessa, que eu não gosto desses modos.
What happens when a Yuumi attaches to a Yuumi who is attached to a Yuumi. Because of upkeep like this, we have to be very selective about the modes we maintain. And right now, there are just too few popular modes that feel worth the investment compared to making brand new modes or updating more resonant ones for you. We've mentioned this before, but we think the sweet spot for game modes are ones that amplify champion fantasies and really build on what you love about your champs and Summoner's Rift. So moving forward, we're focusing on adding more game modes that hit this goal. And to that, let's talk about Ultimate Spellbook. First and foremost,
Esse aí é da hora, mano, esse aí.
It was one of our highest engagement modes ever, second only to Earth. And beyond popularity, we're super happy with how long you spent making oversized champions with Cho'Gath Salt. And by that we mean the total amount of time you spent in Ultimate Spellbook stayed high throughout the event.
Jogamos bastante. Esse foi legal.
That said, there are some clear areas of feedback that we want to address. Junglers were forced to take Smite and another ultimate, which meant they couldn't choose another summoner spell. They also missed out on a lot of exciting plays during the laning phase because they were stuck clearing camps. Beyond that, we also heard that games started to feel a little repetitive due to the small number of available ultimates. And we agree. So, this winter we'll be bringing back Ultimate Spellbook with a bigger ult pool.
Aí sim, velho. Boa, amigões. Mais ultimates.
If you'd like to learn more about our approach to game modes, you can check out the dev blog that's coming out today. That's all we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you're enjoying Worlds as much as we are. And for any pros watching, once again, please pick a move.
Tá, deu mais chance para o Amumu. Yes! E aí, o que vocês acharam? Deixa aí nos comentários o que vocês acharam. Eu achei sensacional, porque os maguinhos vão voltar. Os maguinhos vão ter ult daquele no item, velho. Os maguinhos vai ter penetração de shield praticamente no item, velho. Eu gostei. Valeu!